Courageous Creators Challenge. Day 5. What have I learnt across this challenge? I have learnt many things. Let me start with the first thing that I've learnt. That it is very difficult to say courageous creators. Needs a lot of practice and I still can't do it. So I've written down all the things that I've learnt. Bringing something out that is within you is a creative process, but it's also a spiritual process. That was number 2. Number 3, nothing is truly creative. You're just pulling it out, a part of yourself you didn't realize was there before. Number 4, people develop through creativity. I've always thought that people develop through spirituality, but since they're one and the same, then people also develop through creativity. Number 5, inspiration is seeing something of your higher self, outside of yourself. Number 6, I am responsible for my own inspiration. I'm going to skip 7 and 8 and come back to them. Number 9, weird is subjective. I'm going to skip number 10 too and come back to that. Number 11, I am a character. I am acting a character. The character that I am acting is me. Number 12, nature is symbolic, or at least my interaction with nature appears to be symbolic to me. Number 13, the less shits you give, the more you can be yourself. The more you can be yourself, the more unique you will allow yourself to become. Number 14, character depends on environment. Different environment will cause a different character within you to come up. Number 15, I need good people around me. Number 16, I'll come back to. Number 17, I'll come back to. And number 18, I'll come back to. Right, so let's revisit the numbers that I said I'd come back to. Because these are not things that I've learned, these are things that I'd like to do moving forward. So moving forward, this is not my idea. Just trying to remember who told me. Unfortunately, I can't remember your name, but thank you for suggesting that we should set up group calls for creative spirituality UK and Ireland. These would be online. That's one of the things I want to do. Someone else said in a comment somewhere, I think, that mentioning the word ramble, like a philosophical ramble, but I took it maybe to be an actual ramble, and that perhaps we should get together and have a ramble that is a real ramble, but is also a metaphysical ramble, a philosophical ramble, a symbolic ramble. It seemed to work well for me. It reminds me of, pilgrimage. You learn from the journey. Number 16, try to go down paths I've never been down. And I mean that both physically and metaphorically and symbolically. Number 17, and this is something I've been wanting to do prior to doing this challenge, but it's still something I want to do moving forward, and I think maybe this challenge could perhaps help me with this, and that is elevate my connection to others, have a better connection to other people. I don't think I connect deep enough with the people around me in my life. I guess I mean not just people around me in my life, but anyone who I come into contact with. That includes through the internet and wherever, really. And this is something that I've been working on internally and thinking about prior to starting this. And finally, number 18, I'd like to investigate the topic of vulnerability a bit more, because it seems to bring up a lot of unresolved, or perhaps not quite resolved issues. And I think that could be a positive benefit. So those are my takeaways and the things that I've learned. So how can I use this to help other people? You know what? I have no idea. I think Andy is in a privileged position in the sense that I think he knew going into this that helping people to express themselves would help them help themselves. But I don't know exactly how me expressing myself helps other people, although I do have some faith in the idea that we can contribute to human culture, and that contribution causes ripple effects within culture, and we can start to shape the culture moving forward into something that's more like what we actually want to live within, and less like the sort of ideals of a very few privileged elite people who basically spend a lot of time. Well, I don't know, this is going to sound paranoid, but I think there was basically a ruling class, and I don't want to specify any particular people, but I think there's a ruling mentality in that there's a power struggle, and some people win out in that power struggle. And one of the ways that people win that power struggle is by dividing people who stand against them, distracting them. But it has a negative impact on the culture, has a negative impact on our way of life, because it makes us less aware and less conscious, less thinking, less able to develop because we're constantly being distracted. So many people have tried to stand up to this, but it seems to me that they just keep, those individuals that stand up to it just keep getting absorbed back into the culture and used as tools of oppression, their lives subverted into tools of oppression. And I've no desire for that pattern to be repeated. It has to be everyone moving forward together rather than individuals trying to set an example, succeeding in setting an example, but their example becomes subverted by the dominant power. And even though they've succeeded at setting an example, that gets used eventually as a way of controlling. And we're back to square one. And I don't want that to keep happening. I'm sure no one else does. It sounds a bit paranoid, but this takes place over thousands of years and no one person is to blame. It's just kind of human nature as it stands. But I'd like to try, I suppose, and tap into a more collective aspect of human nature, which doesn't mean me doing a thing to project a image as an example for everyone to follow. It means everyone doing that. And that's what I've liked about this group and this challenge, because everyone's had a try, had a crack at expressing themselves. And I think that self-expression in the way it's been used here, especially in a spiritual context, is the way to do it. And that's, I could go and follow a path where I go, well, I want to teach meditation, but that would be my path, and I'll be teaching other people my path, and therefore they wouldn't be finding their path, and it would become a mechanism of control, if not for me, but for whoever followed me and whoever followed them. And eventually, if these ideas that I create are not lost to time, then they'll be built up and used to subvert and power and disempower people. So we have to move together, and we have to move creatively together, because the creative aspect, the creative uniqueness aspect of every single individual is the only thing that's going to counterbalance the mechanistic top-down control structures that seem to appear over time, even in the most based around the most perfect individuals. Okay, that's all for now. Just want to wish everyone luck, good luck, for whatever you do in the future. And my door's always open. My inbox is always open. So never think to yourself, I don't want to bother people with things I'm thinking. You know, maybe they're not important. Feel free to connect, because I need good people around me. Okay. Day 5, the last day. Martin Clewitt in his bedroom, not outside, because it's horrible and because it's the weekend and I don't get a lunch break at the weekend. Signing off. I forgot to come back to number 10. And that is, there is no weird, or is there? I decided to look up the etymology of weird, and it seems that weird actually means, it's come from a word W-Y-R-D, which I assume is pronounced in a similar way, Old English, and it means fate, chance, fortune, destiny, that which comes. Weird means that which comes.